Kev, like I'm gonna live to be 100 for sure, and you're gonna need to make sure that you make it big because you're gonna have to hire someone to wipe my butt. That,
My name's Monish, and I'm your main host. Welcome to Real Talk. Hey, what's going on? On this episode, we talk about the big M. We talk about money. We talk about that green, that moolah. And we dive deep. We talk about why does money matter? How important is money? If you could put a price tag on happiness, what would it be? And the big one, can money actually make you happy? Also on this episode, I recorded in a Louisville hotel, meaning that we had a guest feature from an AC unit that, comes in hot during the episode. So, yeah, you've been forewarned. That's all from me. Enjoy the episode. Hope you like it. Not only does Army an extra on a very popular Netflix show, which is one of his many jobs, but he's also a bartender, a professional masturbator. Is that one of them?
You believe it or not, yeah, the internet doesn't matter. Let me tell you.
Army, so why are you keeping down all these jobs?
Money, man. It's simple as that. Technically I'm making that cheddar. Technically, I'm a bar back. I just want to clarify that, which is basically like a bartender, except I don't serve alcohol. Like I don't serve mixed
basically,
drinks.
I'm a bartender, but it's not
I
cool
can
at
get
all.
I can get a nice, I can get a cold apple juice from Army.
Yeah.
Take all the cool things of being a bartender, then take all of that away, and then that's basically a bar back.
Dude, seriously, that is like the best description you can possibly have for that job. But it does pay well, actually. So yeah, basically, I live in the most expensive city in the U.S. right now, and it's expensive. Like my rent is essentially twice what I paid when I lived in Austin, Texas, for a much lower quality living space. But it's San Francisco, and I love it.
Right.
So yeah,
I love San Francisco. By the way,
it's fantastic. By the way,
beautiful city.
Yeah, beautiful city.
Anyways,
we can talk about other reasons why I think it actually is a good investment later on. But that's why. It's essentially money. I am let me back up. I was working, as Munish knows, as a consultant for different startups for online marketing stuff, mostly branding, publishing, that kind of thing. Honestly, I have essentially been doing that since I was 15, either writing online or doing consulting and contract work for other online marketers. And I was getting to the point where I was like, I need to try something else. Like I'd never had a normal job where I had to show up on a set schedule. And I was just really curious what that was like. So I stopped looking for new marketing clients and stopped really doing that and gave this a shot. And now I'm definitely over the whole bar job. So I'm interviewing.
Wow.
So
that was quick.
That was you had that bar job for basically 3.7 seconds. That was Jesus. Dude, I mean, one of the things is that me and Kevin live in fake college world right now, and Army lives in like the real world where like he can actually get killed, but we can't. Like he's basically like we feel invincible because we're in this very closed bubble. And one of the things that this closed bubble has done to me and Kevin, mostly me because I can't speak too much for Kevin, is that it's made me very, very, very bad at just being financially literate. Agency. You know why? Because finance is incredibly boring. It's so boring, dude. It's so boring. I mean, this podcast could be seen as just one giant diversion for me not to worry about finances. Like it's nuts.
Yeah.
The thing is, my sister had a conversation with me, and she was basically grilling me. She was like, Monish, like, hey, like, you are not good with finances, straight up. And my sister, she will destroy your whole life in 3 sentences if she wants to. I mean, she's very sweet, very kind, wonderful, but very, very frankly honest, and which is something that's fantastic in a sister, right? And I remember basically the gist of her conversation was like, you better pay attention to the little things because the little things will fuck you, right? Right now, being good at finances is something that I want to learn, right? Something a skill I have to actually clock in, right? But part of me is also questioning, like, how much does money actually matter in your life, right?
Right.
How much does money? We all have these weird narratives about how money is, right? And like, quick question: would you guys put money on a pedestal growing up?
Absolutely.
I think I did, but it's almost like in a fictional way, like kind of like when you're a kid and you're like, I want to be an astronaut, and you don't really. It just sounds foreign and interesting, and that's why, like, when you're a kid, you're like, I want to be a millionaire, and it's like you don't even understand what that means, really. So yeah, but it didn't really drive any of my decision making. It was more just something I said.
I think there's a huge narrative for money to be a symbol of success. The more money you have, the more successful you are. Like, for example, I know that's kind of how my dad has. He's kind of pushed that idea on me my entire life. My dad always he says this thing all the time, and I love when he does it because it's just funny. But he always says, like, Kev, like, I'm gonna live to be 100 for sure, and you're gonna need to make sure that you make it big because you're gonna have to hire someone to wipe my butt. Says that every time. He's like, if you don't have the money to hire someone else to do it, it's going to be one of you kids. So ever since I was a kid, he's always basically imposed this idea that money is what determines success in a way. I mean, he wants us to be happy and stuff too, but he wants us to go to college and get good jobs so that we can make a lot of money and have successful lives.
In India, it's very status oriented. So people care a lot about having nice things they don't need and showing it off because they want to basically signal other people that, hey, I can afford to buy things I don't need, right? Like, dude, I've been to some Indian houses, man, and the amount of just useless crap that, like, I'm like, why is there seven crystal elephants in a row? Like, who's in charge? Who's in charge of this whatever's going on right here, right? And dude, I mean, like, growing up, my dad was on the poor side. I mean, he lived in a village in India. Basically, he went all the way from India. Was incredibly brilliant. I mean, he highest scores in India, and he made it in America, right? But when he started, he was extremely just financially. He had to start from ground zero when he came to America, and one of the things my Indian family has sort of really pushed on me is like, Monish, you're going to be a millionaire, and part of that is also probably a reflection not just of. Not just that, Indians are, especially, Indian culture is very obsessed with status, but also that living in dire situations, living in places where money was not a fluid commodity, but something that was a real struggle, right? I mean, when you're poor, or when you do not have money, you value it more, right? I mean, there's a actual correlation. Like the less money you have, the more happier money will actually make you, right? Like if you're if you're a millionaire, you get $5, don't really care. If you are on the streets and you get $5, you value that a lot more, right? And my dad, I mean, he was so not well off, especially starting out. I mean, because he just came to this country with he had a briefcase, and that briefcase had everything that he owned. And it had shoes, two pairs of shirts, a pair of pants, a nightshirt, a watch, a little bit of cash. That's it. I'm pretty sure he came to this country with $5,000.
Is there like a picture of this briefcase? Like, that was so specific. You knew everything that was in there. What color was his nightshirt?
I don't know what color it was, but I know.
What does your dad do now? Like,
he's a software engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or no, sorry. He's an electrical engineer. I always get that mixed up. And I think he had $5,000 basically just coming here to this country. And he remembers the first time that he took a taxi, and it cost like $100 because he took the taxi like just to get to a right, and he's like, dude, how am I going to survive in the next 30 days if that costs that much, right?
Right.
My dad got into a car accident, and so he was a passenger, someone else was driving. He got into a car accident, and he was bleeding from the head. It was a pretty severe car accident, and he actually left the scene. Like he didn't like flee the scene. He wasn't responsible in any way, but he like basically left the car accident because he knew that if an ambulance came to actually treat his wounds, it would be too much, and he couldn't afford it. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, dude, that briefcase is solely responsible for my entire family, for our entire family, which is crazy, right?
That's a really cool thought, I feel.
Yeah, that is a crazy story. I didn't know that.
Right. So in a weird way, of course money matters. Money matters in the sense that if you don't have enough of it, it can absolutely be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's like one of those things you hear growing up too. It's such a repeated I don't know what you call it. Like, man, I'm totally blanking on the word when you just repeat something and it's like a totally pointless statement. Anyway, but it's like this one of these things that people keep repeating and repeating. Like, money doesn't buy happiness. Money doesn't buy happiness. And like and of course, so at private school where I went, like that's better. Basically, everyone there was everyone except me and my one friend had more money than I did. Like it was an expensive school, and the only reason I was able to go there was because my dad was a teacher and we got a huge discount. But these are kids whose dads and parents make like, $500,000, $1 million a year or more. Like one of the kids had this massive estate, like literally directly across from the school with like horses and stuff. It's like just crazy money. And so these kids had no concept of money at all. And I remember like sometimes the other kids would say little trite sayings like that. It's like, yeah, but you're not the one like camping on family vacations because you can't afford hotel rooms. Oh, granted, I love camping and I'm glad we did that, but that was part of it. Like,
actually, camping was dope. I take that back. No, for sure. Yeah, I got it.
Well, I don't take it back, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I love camping and I love hiking.
You guys aren't knitting your own clothes in class.
What a peasant. But I think it does. Honestly, in some ways, I am glad I didn't grow up with a ton of money because I would not want to be one of those people. And some of these kids, like,
there's something about struggle that deepens you in a weird way.
Yeah, and I think it just makes you confront the realities of life much sooner than those kids had to.
Right.
Like, I remember one of my kids literally got a car when he was like 12 years old. It was like a beat up pickup truck for driving around their family's like 75-acre property, and like it was stuff like that. And so, yeah, man, it's like, obviously money itself doesn't buy happiness, but money solves the problem of not having money. And that's a pretty huge problem when you're actually in the real world.
Money solves your money problems. That's the function of money, right? Like money is not going to make you have a fulfilled life. It's not going to make you be amazing. It's not going to make you it's not going to fill the dark hole. You can't fill the dark hole in your soul with cash, right? With a bank account, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, money does solve your money problems. I mean, they've done a study where basically 75,000 up to that basically is the cap on happiness, right? So if you have less than that, essentially around there, around 75,000, that is essentially basically all you need to just live a happy life and to do the things you want to do. Right. Now it's not going to buy you. It's not going to buy you sort of the experiential happiness in the sense of like, oh, I feel really good today. Right, but it's gonna buy you that. It will get you sort of the remembered self happiness, which is essentially you're looking back at your life and you're like, dude, I feel like my life's going pretty well. I feel like I feel like things are going well. I feel like I got money in the bank. I got some dollar bills, yo, and like that's.
I got a Lambo.
I got a Bugatti though. I got a Bugatti. And,
I'm happy as fuck, man.
right. And essentially, one of the things with stuff and money, and there's all these confusing narratives around money, and that especially when you're young, you think it's going to be that silver bullet that's going to solve everything, right, dude? Okay, so I remember I was told this specifically by a family member, Monish, and this is when I was extremely anxious about girls, which was basically all of high school, and and essentially I was just stressing my ass off about women and girls and why I was not getting any, and why no girl liked me. And essentially the advice that I got was, Monish, don't worry about girls now. If you become rich, they're all gonna love you. And I can't tell you how bad that advice is and how just wrong it is, because even when I had sort of status indicators that sort of indicated that I was making money, right? Like when I was working with best-selling authors, that could be sort of an implicit signal that, hey, like I was sort of making money or making dough. Even then, zero, right? Nothing came from it. And I remember there was this girl I had a huge crush on. Every day I would go to she worked at a Snowco stand. And she would be like, she would text me, and she was like, oh, Monish, you should come over and talk to me. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I would come over. I would take way too long to get ready, and I would go over and I would talk to her for 45 minutes. And I remember one day I'm like, dude, you know what she doesn't know about me? She doesn't know that I work for best-selling authors, and she's totally gonna fall in love with me.
God.
Oh lordy.
Yeah.
Oh lordy.
Loaded.
No lordy.
Lordy. The entire podcast is us saying, "Oh, Lordy," just like for like 45 minutes. No, dude, no. And I remember, I went over there, and it was just another day, and we were just talking about random stuff. And instead of focusing the conversation on having fun in the moment, I make it about. I just casually slip into conversation. By casually slip into conversation, I mean very awkwardly slip into conversation that I work with best-selling authors. And afterward,
Hi, Jennifer. Did you know that I work for best-selling authors?
And I remember saying it, and afterwards she was just like, "Okay, that's cool." Like, all right, yeah, for sure. We're not hooking up, Moni. No, basically, yeah. Yeah, and it's just like, especially in high school, they don't care about that, right? I mean, women do care about money in the sense that it implies other things about you, right? So, like, Army, if you're making a lot of money, right, that tells me certain qualities about you, right? Like, I want to, like, he's probably smart, he's probably resourceful, he probably is knows what the hell he's doing with his life, a sense of meaning. Right,
it's what the
money. It's right. It's what the money implies, and not actually what the actual bank account is. That women find attractive, and that's why no girl is losing her mind over looking at a spreadsheet of dollar amounts. Right. Well, the two things I would say that money really affords you, and why money matters, is that it gets you freedom. Right. It gets you. You're not not wasting, but you're not spending all your time trying to survive, right? You're not worried about, can I get bread on the table, right? You can actually have the freedom and mobility to move around in your life and do the things you want to do, and also gets you access to experiences, right? So like, dude, so like me and Kevin want to go to a concert this summer, and that's a valuable experience, right? It's not like me and Kevin are out Bugatti shopping, right? We're like, that's not us. Like, we're trying to get experience. We're trying to hang out with friends, like getting money, that it gives you the money to buy a plane ticket to visit your family. Having money gives you the experience to actually pay for the concert, right? To be with friends. And at the end of the day, experiences over things every single time, right? Things lose luster when you're on the hedonistic treadmill of life. Everyone's bought something, and then 2 days later they're like, why is this piece of shit still in my my garage? And it's just, experiences provide lasting fulfillment, and a lot of that is even just having the memory of the experience in the first place, right? You're thinking about the concert, you're thinking about spending time with your family, and it improves your interpersonal relationships in a way that money can. And so, dude, if you're like sad and alone, there's this weird narrative where it's like in the social network, he's like, $1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? $1 billion, right? And there's this whole class of entrepreneurs who are like, I'm going to show everyone in high school they're wrong about me. Right, yeah. I'm gonna make millions of dollars. Money's the only thing that matters, right? And the thing is,
dude, all the Facebook entrepreneurs, I think you guys termed them that, but all they do is post pictures of like the dope shit that they're buying with all their money, right?
Yeah.
So look at this car that I drive, or look at this watch I have. Like, clearly, you're just trying to reflect that you now are making money and you weren't a failure out of high school.
right. They're trying to signal that they can afford to buy things that they don't need.
Well,
It's a very
also
clear signal that they have a lot of money, and people place their self-worth in
honestly,
money. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say like some of these people don't even have that much money. It's just they spend all of it on stuff other people can see. They're just working so hard to ensure everyone else thinks they have money.
As Army said on another podcast, on frivolous shit that they don't need.
Yeah,
that's
like the classic, right? It's like the classic stereotype of like the guy who's working delivering pizzas and he's wearing like a $5,000 watch or something.
He's got some bling bling, you know.
Yeah, and he's like living with his.
And I'm loaded.
Yeah. Yeah, but something else I was going to say too. Well, first of all, back to the entrepreneur thing. As Monish, I'm sure you know also, it's when people, if you see these entrepreneurs talking about how much money they've raised too, A, most of that does not go into their pocket. B, they probably don't have all of that on hand yet anyway. That's the kind of thing that's doled out based on performance. And C, they're probably full of shit. So just like those are three things to keep in mind if you start feeling bad because oh my god, like my friend raised $2 million for an app. Not really. But back to our stuff about budgeting and that kind of thing that we started out on. I have a slightly different take on that. Obviously, budgeting is really important. I think it's extremely valuable skill to understand how to manage money. But at the same time, I think there is huge pressure from most like middle to upper class families, which I think is generally a good thing, to never get any kind of debt whatsoever. And
oh my god!
Yeah.
By the way, me and Kevin are going to get reamed by college debt. Oh, I didn't even mention that. We're going to be destroyed. It's going to be terrible.
And that's the funny thing is that it's always like credit card debt or any other kind of debt. But when it comes to college, parents are like, oh yeah, $80,000 in debt. Well, it's college. So there's no problem with that. It's like, no, it's still debt. Like, and obviously we've talked about this before. I think college is great in many ways, but I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy there. So like I still have credit card debt from some travels and stuff that I did because there were absolutely times after I moved out when I was 18, even when I was still living with my parents, where I was traveling for sports, like traveling for my company, working on that, like sometimes just paying web hosting. Like, dude, there were times when I was living in Austin where I was like eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for like a week, because I was super poor. And so absolutely I used a credit card in those situations, and I'm still paying off some of that. And on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, in some areas I definitely could have managed money better. But on the other hand, I think there is value in investing money in experiences when you're young, even if you don't have all of it. And that's, I know, a controversial thing to say, and I'm sure many people disagree with me, but it's true that like when you're young, it is different, both in terms of how much money you can make and the experiences you can have. And I don't think I'd be as good of a person if I hadn't gone on some of these trips or had some of these experiences. Now, granted, I also have a plan to like pay it off and all that, so I'm not just like, oh, credit card debt. Like, I'll just get it when I'm 40. It's like, no.
It's funny how much more of a real person Army is than you and I.
Oh my god!
Listen to what he's saying.
Me, and Kevin are slowly are literally just holograms. We're just fading right now, and Army is like is actually made of like actual flesh, and like he's a real solid thing. Like,
he has like organs and bones and all that stuff. Army's like, well, yeah, you got to be careful about your credit card debt because I've been paying this card off for 10 years now since I was 11 years old. Monish and I are like, shit, do I have enough money to get like some motherfucking McDonald's tonight, or am I gonna have to?
Dude, no,
Jesus Christ.
last thought is first off, being a millionaire is not going to fill the hole in your soul, no matter how much you place your self-worth or narrative in it. It's just not, and it's not going to get you girls. Like a woman would rather hang out with a fun middle-class guy than a deadbeat millionaire, for sure, 100%, almost 100% of the time. Unless you're in Miami, then that's a different story. But right.
Just lost all of our Miami listeners.
Everyone from Miami just closed the podcast, unsubscribes. Yeah, and also, I mean, dude, like you don't have to. If you get $75,000 around, again, that's just an average from a study. But if you have a healthy income that pays your bills, that gives you freedom, you don't need You don't need to be a millionaire to just have a good life. You can have a regular income, still get still have great friends, have loved ones, and have experiences over things.
Yeah.
So
now, I want to add one thing too, in that when you're in school, there's a lot of pressure to pick between either being happy or making money. So, for instance, like people will say things like, "Don't pick a job for the money, just do whatever you want." And then the kid goes off and learns like medieval language studies and like basket weaving in college. Like there are so many people in San Francisco who have these very useless like liberal arts degrees. And I'm sorry, but that's one stereotype that is so true. It's not funny at all. There are these people like who spent 4 years, tens of thousands of dollars, and they have no marketable skills because they learned something that they just thought was kind of cool in college, and now they can't sell it. And then on the other hand, there are your stereotypical like trust fund babies who are like, my dad worked for Merrill Lynch, and like I'm going to go to a good school and like, but getting an internship at an investment bank. And like I have people I went to middle school with who are doing that now.
Yeah.
And like I'm sure like they don't look very happy. Let's put it that way. But on like I think essentially what you need to do, and I think people should start thinking about this even in middle school and high school, is what's a job that I'll enjoy that can make me like enough that I'm comfortable, like at least. And you can always make more doing something else. Like as you get better at almost any job, you'll make more money if you can market yourself and push yourself in the right direction. But like it's not like you have to pick one or the other. It's more like, what's the job that's going to make me happy that I can probably make a bare minimum with, and then I'm going to go for that.
There's a reason this is a podcast and not a poetry center. You know what I'm saying? It's like because it's like because right now the market is in demand for that. I mean, that was a very deliberate choice that we made. So any last thoughts? Any last thoughts from you, Kev?
I'm just trying to get a Bugatti, to be honest with you.
To be quite honest.
That's about all I have to say about that.
If you like that episode, if you like this podcast, the number one thing you can do for us right now is to go on iTunes, type in Real Talk, and subscribe, rate, and review. Every subscription, every review, every rating counts big time. Also, if you want to sign up for the email list, so this is the long-term play, if you want to stick with us, if you want to get updates, if you want to never miss an episode, you want to get bonus content, sign up for the email list at www.realtalkstudio.com/insider. Again, that's www.realtalkstudio.com/insider. A big shout out to my sister Vishali for content ideation as always, Kevin and Army for being two guys that co-host this podcast. And here's one that I haven't said on previous episodes. They've been in the show notes, but I haven't said on previous episodes because a lot of the work she did was after the episodes released and were already done and completed. Big shout out to my girlfriend, Justine Brum. She's lovely, she's wonderful, and she's really helped with feedback for each episode before they even come out. And of course, CJ Beats for the music. This is Real Talk, signing off.